is that many of you helped put together over 1,200 signatures to this Trump supporter, billionaire, Martin Sells, right? Is that his name? Selleck. Martin Selleck. And so we'll hear a little bit more about that, but Maru and Angelica are also turning in all of your petitions because we want to make sure that they're also kicked out of here. We don't want people to continue to profit off of our community suffering, right? So I want to introduce you all to a little bit of our folks that are out here. Big round of applause, please. We're going to have Jill to speak to us a little bit more about Maru's case. We're going to have Nina talk to us about collaboration that's happening within ICE and state agencies like the Department of Licenses. We're going to have Michelle talk to us about the attacks and targeting of activists. And then we're going to have Junga talk to us about racial profiling and what that looks like here. And then we're going to close out with Chandan, who's going to talk to us about the public-private partnerships, right? Particularly about the petitions that that will be delivered today. So a big round of applause to our judges out here today. And before we start, as another sort of reminder, for those who is your first time here at the People's Tribunal, as DWN Detention Watch Network, we truly admire this tactic, this tactic that Northwest Detention Resistance has taken on from fellow fighters in the struggle to again exemplify that true justice comes from the people. So through DWN, we'll also learn from them, and Maru and a lot of other folks from Northwest Detention Center Resistance talk to us about what this People's Tribunals look like here, and people were able to replicate that in over 10 states throughout the country, and we're also holding it down in front of the detention centers locally, and are using the similar tactic. And so again, just to learn about how Seattle, how Tacoma, how the state of Washington is legit part of the fearless movement against immigrant detention, and how they have been really an inspiration to a lot of folks that have been fighting and that are also now using these ICE on Trial People's Tribunals in their hometown. So please follow the hashtag ICE on Trial to learn a little bit more about others' tribunals and what their decisions have been, so that we can continue to support and amplify each other's work. So without further ado, we're going to pass it on over. I don't think our microphone leaves, so you may need to. Sorry. To Jill Mangalina, and they will be talking to us a little bit about Maru's case. So big round of applause to Jill.
Yay! Thank you. My name is Jill Mangaliman. I'm part of Got Green. We're an environmental justice organization, and the reason we are calling for the abolition of ICE to dismantle ICE is because we believe in building a healthy environment for everyone, and that includes, and people can't be healthy if they're being caged or policed. And so we believe in a world that people are free from that, and their dignity is being, and their dignity and their humanity is being seen and protected. I've known Maru for about a decade, 10 years, and she is considered to me my mentor, but also a family. Her and her daughter are wonderful people that I've gotten to grow and love over the last 10 years in this movement. Maru has been in this country for 20 years, and majority of the time she's been an activist and speaking out for immigrant rights, for people to be free and to be free from being repressed. She's been definitely speaking out against ICE ever since it was created. There was no way they would have known where she had lived until the department, our own Department of License, gave out her home and address. And they delivered the notice of deportation to her house. It was actually her daughter, Josefina, who accepted the letter, unknowing that what it was. They had brought it directly to her door. It goes to show that they have been tracking her for a long time, and we're aware of her activities because there would be no other reason for her to receive such a notice. This also goes to show that how ICE is out of control. ICE has been targeting leaders of our movement for the years that they have existed, not just here, but around the country. They've also targeted one of the leaders in the Philippines who was trying to come here back in May, Jerome Abba, on the pretense that he has a Muslim background as well and has been a human rights activist in the Philippines. They Customs Border Patrol tortured and detained him for 20 hours at SF airport. It goes to show that ICE is not only a system that is unaccountable, but is violent and abusive and inflicting trauma on our communities, not just on our leaders, but on the broader community and the people who are connected to those who are being detained, abused, and exploited within those walls. We know that Maru has been speaking out, but there are so many people that she speaks out for whose cases are not being lifted up. She's always spoken out for the people who are not seen, right? The people who are not picked up, their stories are not picked up, or we don't even know, but she encourages us to continue to speak out and fight for them. That is what I am taking away from this, is that we have to continue to fight for all the people, not just Maru, but all of the people who are locked up. Not just the children. Yes, the children, we want children should not be caged, but also their parents, right? Their families. Even people without families. How is it that ICE's main job is separating people from their loved ones and caging them? They think that they can take away our leaders, but we won't stop. We will not quit. This is a lesson that we've learned in our movements. Maru has inspired us, but we will continue to fight, and Maru will continue to fight, and we're all here together shows that. And so that's why we're calling on ICE to be dismantled, because it is not a system that gives our communities life or continues to see our humanity. It doesn't belong here in this world. I encourage us to all continue to fight for everyone. Chant with me: dismantle ICE! 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 Thank you.
All right, a big round of applause to Jill out here. As Jill is saying, we are going to stand next to all of our family members, our community members, our loved ones who are being targeted and terrorized by this administration, particularly by ICE. And I think another big point that Jill also made is that family detention is still family incarceration. That's and right. Going back to Maru's point, we do not believe anyone should be caged. All right. So I'm going to pass it on over to our next judge, Nina Martinez, who's going to talk to us particularly about the DOL and how these state agencies are collaborating with ICE, what that looks like here in Washington, and how we can continue to fight. Big round of applause to Nina, please.
Thank you. My name is Nina Martinez. I'm the board chair of Latino Civic Alliance. We're a statewide advocacy organization. Based on the following undisputed facts, ICE has knowingly collaborated with state and local law enforcement officials, pushing them for identifying data and information in violation of state policies. What a shame. ICE has knowingly collaborated with state and local law enforcement officials, pushing them for identifying data and information in violation of state policies. Shame on them. Using information obtained from State Department of Licensing and others, ICE was able to profile individuals so that it could pursue and arrest immigrants at work, in their homes, and elsewhere. Shame on them. Shame. They are also today going into businesses and identifying people by their vehicle registration. They are getting this information from the Department of Licensing. Shame on them. Shame. I specifically targeted Maru Mora in order to send a message to others that no one is safe, and intentionally gathered information on Maru because of her role as spokesperson and advocate. Shame on them. Shame! Using information obtained in violation of state requirements from the State Department of Licensing, ICE was able to locate Maru and issue notice of deportation. Shame on them. DOL continues with other state agencies, we believe, to work and collaborate with ICE. Shame on them. This targeting has a chilling effect nationwide and violates the rights of free speech, the right to associate, and the right to travel and move about. It impacts all of us through fear, discouragement, and exhaustion. It is an abuse of power. Shame on them. Thank you.
Not one more.
Not one more.
Deportation. Not one more.
Deportation.
Not one more.
Deportation.
Not one more.
Deportation.
Not one more.
Deportation.
Ni una más. Deportación. Ni una más.
Deportación.
Ni una más.
Deportación.
Ni una más.
Deportación.
We're here to say chinga la migra.
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 Y'all sound beautiful. So next I'm gonna pass it on over to Michelle. Michelle Vendiola, come on over. Michelle's gonna talk to us about, again, white supremacy and the attack on activists by the federal government. Big round of applause to Michelle.
So my name is Michelle Vendiola. I'm from the Walker River Paiute tribe in northern Nevada. My Indian name is Taba Toniga, and I live on the Lummi Nation in Bellingham, Washington. And I want to make sure that we acknowledge that we're on tribal territory and of the Duwamish Nation. Also, I'd like to say that Maru is a good friend of mine and has my heart, and I'm honored to be sitting here today to speak on this panel. So I'm here to talk about white supremacy and its connection to deportation, and also to how the Department of Licensing, how the governmental agencies are, all of them, are collaborating to silence activists. And how many of you are activists out there? Okay, so I don't think all of you are activists because I didn't hear all of you say anything. So how many of you think that you want to do something about this? So how many of you are activists? Okay, so we need more people. We need to get the common people out there to get busy and do something. It's an atrocity that we have young children being taken by ICE and separated from their parents. It's an atrocity that is following the agenda of a federal government. It's nothing new. Tribal children, Native kids were taken as a policy to break families up, as a policy with the boarding school to break up families and to destroy a culture. It's happening again. It's a policy. Don't underestimate that the government knows that it's going to break up people. It's going to break their heart and break their spirit. They're doing it again, and shame on them. So we have to get serious about this. All those people, all those law enforcement people out there, we see you. You have to have a heart. You have to know that we're building a fascist, that Trump is building a fascist organization. He is building a fascist country. And if we don't stand up, this is going to turn out to be something terrible, something like Nazi Germany. It's getting worse. And as far as silencing activists, it's happening. There's a lot of surveillance happening. There's a lot of disorganization. People are coming in and trying to silence voices. That might sound crazy, but you have to be careful. That's the truth. But we have to stay vigilant to it. Personally, I've been targeted by that. I've been targeted by law enforcement. I've been targeted by the sheriff. I've been targeted by the prosecutor. And I've been targeted by the Department of Justice. But am I going to stop? No. Are you gonna stop?
No!
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 None of us are gonna stop. We're gonna keep on moving forward, and we're gonna make this. We're gonna get Maru free. We're gonna stop our children from being deported. We're gonna get them back.